Hello, welcome again to FAIRtax Power Radio. I'm Bob Paxton.
Bob Scarborough.
And we are the FAIRtax Guys. Come here, Fat Albert. There it is. Right on.
Thing must be getting heavier. It looks,
Uh, Either that or I'm getting older. One of the two. I'm about to get hit by a train, so we'll see. I've got my steam locomotive background up this time.
that Fat Albert's pretty dense, just like the income tax.
Yes, absolutely. I still can't believe that I brought it all the way up there to North Carolina from Florida for our special live show there at the radio station, and then left it in the hotel room because it was dark in that one, and I was trying not to wake the wife up. So I was going to bring it just so you could mess with it, and I left it in the hotel and didn't get to bring it to the radio station. But that's what happens when things like that come around.
That's
All right.
What a great day. A beautiful fall. We're actually having four seasons this year in North Carolina, I do believe.
Let's see. You got football season, you got NASCAR season, you got baseball season.
You got spring one and spring two, and then faux fall, which comes after frighteningly hot summer. And then of course there's winter, which lasts for about 4 days. Lately, it's been pretty bad.
Okay. Well, for the past couple of weeks, we have had special shows here on FAIRtax Power Radio. 2 weeks ago, we were talking to Steve and Randy about the tribute and memorial to a really great FAIRtax leader, Mark Gupton, here in Florida. Last week was our special 500th episode where I was talking with Steve and Jade Wally about that. I mean, it still blows my mind that we were able to do 500 episodes of this thing. Of course, that's one a week. That's almost 10 years worth that we've been at this. And so if it takes another 10, 15 years, if I live that long, we'll just keep right on going at it. And I didn't hear you. What?
I said that's right.
Well, oh, okay. So sometimes it takes a second or two for your audio to pick up. I can see your mouth moving, but I don't hear what you're saying.
For those of you listening, you'll have to go to the video portion of today's program to see me talking without saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
And cheerwine, of course, is a preferred drink. Florida Bob.
Gotta have my cheerwine. I tell you, I say for the past 2 weeks, we have been missing out on my favorite segment of this program, and that is the Congress.gov segment, where we can take a look at what the Congress critters are doing to the tax code, even in the midst of this government shutdown, which is hopefully over by the time this episode streams, but is still going on as of the time we're recording it. But anyhow, let's get right into that this week. And we will start off with S 2976, the HIRE Act, HIRE. This is from Senator Bernie Moreno of Ohio. And of course, you got to dig into this thing now. They don't have the summary right there on the first page. You got to get into the text of it. And this is the HIRE Act, which actually, let's see, what does it stand for? It was in here someplace. I'll figure it out. But it says to a bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code to impose an excise tax on payments by United States taxpayers to foreign persons for services provided to United States consumers, and your favorite phrase, for other purposes.
Yeah. Yep. Got to have that in there. It saves a lot of time, to leave the door open. You never know what's going to come in when you leave the door open, though.
Oh, mercy. Let's see here. I was trying to find out. It was buried down here in the text of what that HIRE stands for. And boy, it just escapes me right here. I can't figure it out. It's in there someplace, but it's written so close to the paper that I can't find it. But anyways, it's a bill to impose an excise tax on payments by United States taxpayers to foreign persons for services provided to United States consumers and for other purposes. Oh, there it is. This is called the Halting International Relocation of Employment Act. Get that?
I got it. Yep, HIRE Act.
HIRE Act. Okay, let's keep going here. The next one here on the FAIRtax Radio information. We mentioned this. I think you ran across this when you were looking through the Congress.gov. there at the radio station and you had the computer and I didn't. This is H.R. 5686, the Battery Fire Prevention Act, Representative Don Norcross of New Jersey. But you dig into this thing, you come up with one little gem here that says this is a bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code to allow a credit against tax. Wow, look at that, another tax credit. A credit against tax for expenses relating to the purchase of battery detectors and for other purposes. I've never heard of a battery detector.
Yeah, well, you kind of look at it, you say, well, that's a battery. I can't imagine that anybody would need some app or some device to tell you that's a battery.
Yeah, well, I can see maybe flight attendants on an airplane as you're getting on an aircraft to go someplace. They might need a battery detector to see if you're bringing one of those lithium batteries aboard that could be a fire hazard. But HR 5686 to amend the Internal Revenue Code to allow a credit against tax for expenses relating to the purchase of battery detectors and for other purposes. That one's borderline Hall of Shame worthy, don't you think?
I would think so. Let's flag that one. Yeah, HR 5686.
5686. And moving right along, the next one up for bids here on the FAIRtax Power Radio is S 2974, the Secure Benefits Act of 2025. This is Cindy Hyde Smith, Mississippi. And let's see, we dig into the text of this one, and we find that the Secure Benefits Act of 2025 is a bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to require taxpayers claiming the child and earned income tax credits and their qualifying children require them to have a valid Social Security number for employment purposes. I don't know what much more we can say about that one.
No, it's just I would imagine that there's probably more like that. I think that's just some kind of common phraseology, I guess it's used, requiring taxpayers claiming the child and EIC and their qualifying children to have a valid Social Security number for employment purposes. Well, that may be so. You got to have everybody's got to have the.
I guess that sounds rational and reasonable. This is a good one. This is again is Senator Bernie Moreno from Ohio. The Shutdown Act, S 2973. The Shutdown Act. As we are recording this, the shutdown is still in progress. Hopefully, I say by the time this streams, which is actually going to be about about a month and a half, several weeks after we record this, before this actually streams, because we've stockpiled a bunch of FAIRtax Power Radio episodes to cover the time I'm going on my Hawaii cruise. But here we go. This is a bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code. Get this. I mean, this one ought to go in a Hall of Fame rather than a Hall of Shame. 2973 to amend the Internal Revenue Code to impose a daily tax on members of Congress during a lapse in appropriations. About that.
Do you imagine that's going to get anywhere at all?
I'm saying, what do you think the probability of that thing passing is?
No, zero chance.
But to amend the internal, and look, this is just pure optics. To amend the Internal Revenue Code to impose a daily tax on members of Congress during a lapse in appropriations. Lapse in appropriations, of course, is government speak for a shutdown. This act may be called the Stop Holding Up Taxpayers, Deny Wages on Washington's Negligence Act. That's what shutdown stands for. Let's see if
somebody in Washington figures out what all of the acronyms will be. That's a good one. Stop Holding Up Taxpayers, Deny Wages on Washington's Negligence Act. That's great.
So that's shutdown. I'm trying to dig in here and see if it says how much the tax is going to be. I don't see it. So okay, but it defines what a lapse in appropriation means. But there we go. If this act passes, which has, I would think, zero chance of happening, then there will be a daily tax imposed on members of Congress during a lapse in appropriations. Actually, they ought to pass one that says if a lapse in appropriations lasts more than a week, everybody in Congress is ineligible to run for re-election again. That would fix the problem.
Shouldn't. That would be the end of that, without a doubt.
Okay. Yeah, I think this one's also going to go in the Hall of Shame. I know we've done something similar in past years. This is from our buddy Rick Scott here in Florida, Senator Scott, S-2972. This is the Fishing Equipment Tax Relief Act of 2025. And I say that I do recognize the text on this one, and it has been in the Hall of Shame before in previous years. I think we'll put it back in there for 2025. This is a bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code to provide a reduced excise tax rate for, are you ready? Portable electronically aerated bake containers.
I'm telling you, you got to have the excise tax.
Yeah, he wants to reduce the excise tax on portable electronically aerated bake containers. And you've got to open the Internal Revenue Code. Oh, to do that.
If they could get the Battery Act in on that one. They're,
get the Battery Act and I guess electronically aerated bake containers, they would require a battery of some kind, wouldn't they?
Something. Convert solar, who knows? They get all kinds of benefits there with the S-2972.
Okay, well, I think that one is definitely going to go in the Hall of Shame, and it's not going to be all that far long, and we will be actually going through the 2025 Tax Proposal Hall of Shame for this year on the last program in the calendar year. And I don't have a calendar in front of me, so I don't know exactly what the date is, but it's going to be the last Tuesday in December when we will be going through the 2025 Hall. And we got a pretty good collection of stuff. We're going to have to go pretty fast to get everything through and mentioned on that program.
That'll be December 30th. That's the last Tuesday of December this year, the 30th. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we will do that, and we will go through the entire 2025 Hall of Shame, and that is definitely one of it here. All right, we have got that taken care of for the first time in a couple of weeks. We got let's go. Look at that. We've used about half of our time already. Now, I tell you what, I'm try not to do too much personal stuff here, but I am barely breathing this morning. I had surgery back on my nasal passages, trying to open things up and I can breathe easier. And that thing just about killed me. So I had been out of commission for the past couple of weeks. So your job, and you did choose to accept it, was to come up with something to talk about on this edition of FAIRtax Power Radio. What have you come up with, sir? Have at it.
Oh, the government shutdown, which we pray is going to be over by the time this show's airing.
Better, because we're about a month out on this one.
30, the day that we're recording, I think we're at day 31. I think the day
we're recording this on October 31st, but we've recorded ahead several to cover the time I'm going for the cruise. I think this one is going to actually be after the number 500. This should be the second Tuesday in December. So hopefully in the 6 weeks between the time we're recording this and the time this is actually going to stream, the Washington crazies up there will have come to their senses and ended their shutdowns. But okay, go ahead.
So anyway, we've got the and we got the FAIRtax Act. They're two separate but related issues. HR 25 has been presented into Congress since 1999. The shutdown is a current event that is causing disruptions. The FAIRtax, of course, is a proposed legislative change that would replace the current tax system and is not currently in effect. During the shutdown, the IRS operations have been impacted, causing delays and service interruptions. Small business loan processing and other government functions ended.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the FAIRtax Act would replace income and payroll taxes as a national sales tax. It's not a direct cause or a result of the shutdown, but when you think about it in terms of IRS operations right now, could be with the FAIRtax. Significant delays, many operations within
Agencies are scaling back. The SNAP benefits are being delayed. Again, hopefully this is all resolved by the time this streams. A lot of federal employees are wondering where their next paycheck is coming from. Now, the shutdown was actually taking place when I flew home from North Carolina a couple of weeks ago, and there was no problem on that one. But as we are recording this, they are seeing more and more and more delays, long ground stops, just due to lack of people. If the controllers are not getting paid, a lot of them are calling in sick and not going to work. So the air traffic system is getting worse by the day as this thing continues.
Yes, and a large portion of workforces within the government have been furloughed, the Internal Revenue Service notwithstanding. And I think the reason I'm kind of harping on the IRS is that small businesses and individuals here, rely on conversations, if they can get through on the phone, with the Internal Revenue Service about preparing for tax filing for next year. They got a question about something that the Internal Revenue Service has flagged their return for. I guess from the Internal Revenue Service perspective, with the fair tax, there wouldn't be an Internal Revenue Service. There would be no interruption to your conducting business or purchases or anything if you were a consumer, or even if you ran a small business. Now, the SBA right now is unable to accept new loan applications, and we know that sometimes the Small Business Administration has, let's just say you had let's just say you had an application in, and now you're sitting there going, well, gosh, if it had been a normal circumstance, I might have had my loan application approved and everything funded by now. And now I'm dealing with, not able to get in. Existing loans, of course, are being processed, but no new services, no new business applications are coming through the Small Business Administration right now.
Okay, well, let's see if we can tie this back to our primary topic here. That, of course, is the fair tax. So it brings up the question, is there a better way to fund the government so shutdowns don't keep pulling the rug out from under people? Is that a fair question?
I think it is. And the fair tax, when it's fully installed, when it's approved and everything becomes the law of the land, then the Internal Revenue Service would be closed down. So that wouldn't be as big of an issue. The Small Business Administration, I say that just from a standpoint of dealing with government agencies. You have this mixed bag of results now when you call. Even for radio stations, the Federal Communications Commission has dropped certain reporting responsibilities until they come back to full speed ahead. The fair tax through the prebate, immediately people are going to have the more cash in their pocket from their paycheck, if they're, as long as they're not working for the government and things shut down. I think that what we can see from the fair tax being enacted is a streamlining of our taxes with and dealing with the federal government on a number of levels. Business might not need a small business loan if they were able to keep that 7.65% of the payroll tax in their coffers and either use it to pass an increase in pay for that individual that they were originally holding that money for. And here comes the fact that the competition in the business for people will raise salaries and maybe even make it possible for people to make more money on an hourly basis or a salaried basis if the fair tax is passed as we know that it is written in HR 25.
Yeah. Okay. So the fair tax is obviously not going to stop Congress critters from acting like children and shutting the whole thing down if they don't get their way. But if we had the fair tax during this shutdown rather than the income tax, people would be better equipped to ride it out. I mean, they'd have more money in their paycheck. They'd be getting their whole paycheck. They'd be getting the prebate every month. So is that kind of where we're going here?
I think so. And also you and I have spoken about this on episodes in the past, that if there were an economic challenge that befell the general population through an adjustment in the tax inclusive rate of 23%, for example, could be reduced to 20% to make it a little more palatable to get through a short-term downturn in the economy, which we are certainly sitting on the precipice of at the time that we're doing this recording, with the SNAP benefits being not funded after November 1st. And we certainly hope that action is going to be taken on both sides of the aisle to see that certain realities of the shutdown don't happen. But one of the things we talked about in past episodes is the ability to throttle that percentage to make it to put a little bit more money in people's pocket as time went on.
So we're saying that even if the IRS shuts down during the government shutdown, of course we want to see the IRS shut down permanently, but if all of the things that the IRS needs to do can't happen during this shutdown, the fair tax shifts all of that to the states. So even if the federal government shuts down, the mechanism by which the federal government receives its funding is unaffected if we've got the states collecting the fair tax. Now, maybe we can still get the money collected and sent up there. And if Washington is just gridlocked and shut down like they are now, they can't agree on how to spend it. But at least the revenue stream will continue, because, again, the fair tax is collected and administered by the states and not by a federal agency.
That's correct. Even though there is an agency that would work with the states to collect the money.
Yeah, there would be a small receiving office in the Department of the Treasury, but the states would do the actual, revenue collection and send it. It could be that they send it up there to that receiving office in the Department of the Treasury, and the door's closed, so states hang on to it until the federal government's ready to deal with it again. But yeah, you do not subject, your revenue collection mechanism to any kind of disruption by a federal government shutdown if you've got the states handling the revenue collection in the first place.
That's very true. Considering the Internal Revenue Service and their responsibility for payment processing, and you got to have somebody that's going to sit there and kind of monitor the switch, if you will. The Internal Revenue Service has, during the month of October, they originally thought they were going to use the Inflation Reduction Act funds to keep all employees paid during the shutdown. Of course, we're speaking of the Internal Revenue Service. In the first part of October, the agency introduced a plan to furlough around 34,000 employees, keeping around 40 under the Inflation Reduction Act funds that were available. And it's been changed, and it's like a moving target. In the meantime, we're sitting here thinking, what are we going to do? We got a question about this. A businessman needs an answer or resolution on some issue of business that he has with the Internal Revenue Service. How is this going to met out? Of course, as we speak here, recording on October 31st, as we said, heck, it might be over tomorrow. But at the same time, for future consideration, we want to make sure that our listeners and folks that are viewing the program understand the benefit in a similar situation in the future, where we have the ability to continue to do our work and make sure that our employees, or that we are continuing to be paid with little interruption. How does that work out for people that are working in the government? That's hard to say. They're under the same payment strategy, the same payment plan that we are, where they get a certain amount taken out. And I think it would be of interest to me to find out what those government employees think about the fair tax and how it could benefit them in a situation like what we are experiencing right now.
Yeah. So again, the bottom line here is the fair tax would not stop Congress from fighting. It would not stop the two parties, from just being at loggerheads all the time. But it might make the fallout from those fights be a lot less painful for regular Americans. And so we can certainly support that idea. We got about 3 minutes left. We haven't mentioned one of your favorite things in a while, and that is the FAIRtaxStore.org.
And on the FAIRtax store is some freebie stuff on there that you can get and use and take into your battles with the people that you talk to. FAIRtaxStore.org, and the free things are two things. Number one, you go to the printed materials category on the website. And you have the 2025 FAIRtax Prebate Business Card Pack. That's a little business card size of 50. There's no cost and no shipping cost. And you can get 2 of each. You can get 2, so you can get 100 shipped to you at an order per order. The other is a palm card that comes in a pack of 50. That gives you something a little more substantial to hand to somebody. You might leave it, you might see somebody that wants more information, or, well, this is really good. I like this. And so you can get these at no charge, and the FAIRtax store will print all of this, send it to you, and send it out with no shipping charge. So those are things that you can do right now to help get the word out about the FAIRtax.
And as this, if I've got my schedule correctly, this program will stream in early December. So we're getting close to Christmas season, but there should still be enough time to get an order into the FAIRtax. Get you a scrolling banner. I mean, can you imagine putting a scrolling banner in everybody's stocking? How cool that would be?
That's a great stocking stuffer. It's just, this is the size of it. When you get, when you get it, and then you can, use it. And I was thinking that, and, some of your more status thoughtful friends would want to get some apparel. There's nice shirts, stickers, you got men's and women's apparel, there's hats and accessories, which would make a great gift for the holidays. And
indeed,
we certainly think like the acrylic ornament that you can hang on a Christmas tree that says FAIRtax, take back control.
There we go. All right. Well, I'm afraid we're out of time for this edition of FAIRtax Power Radio. We're going to have to leave it right there. Invite you to join us again, same time, same channel next week for FAIRtax Power Radio. Until we meet again, I'm Bob Paxton.
Bob Scarborough.
We are the FAIRtax Guys, reminding you the fair tax is the only truly fair tax, and once you understand it,
you'll demand it.
So tell me, how could I pay less taxes?
Less?
Yeah, I'm trying to get ahead, so how can I pay less?
Well, I suppose you could pay less taxes by earning less money, or you could give to charity.
How is that going to help?
Actually, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but if you know the right people, okay, or if you have a really good lawyer, you can usually get around the big ones.
If I may, under the fair tax, to pay less taxes, you would simply consume less. You would control how much you pay and when you pay your taxes simply by choosing what you purchase and when you purchase something.
So I could stay focused and get ahead.
Exactly.